Good evening, everyone. I am Angel. Welcome to the channel. Last year, I bought Hard Times, the latest novel by Mario Vargas Llosa, published by Alfaguara. For someone who totally ignores the political history of Central America and the Caribbean throughout the 20th century, this has created that interest in me to know more about those countries of the so-called Latin America. At times they seem so far away, almost unknown, as if they were rotating in a different orbit. In 352 pages and 32 sections, Hard Times deals with a topic that every Latin American seems to have been taught since we were children. Latin America as the place in which the USA can do and undo as they please. Their governments as mere puppets of the USA. As an example, United Fruit, a multinational company which was present and spread throughout Central America and called with a very, very good reason the octopus, okay, because of the tentacles that it had. It was so powerful that when Mr. Juan Jose Arevalo allowed labor unions, it was the first alarm, that symptom of communism that could have spread to the other Central American countries. So immediate action had to be taken on both the government and the public opinion in the United States. They passed from ignoring Guatemala to be convinced that that tiny country was at risk of being a satellite government of the Soviet Union. The media easily believed that, and even the most prestigious newspapers like the New York Times or the Washington Post sent foreign correspondents that just repeated the danger of communism, watching Guatemala and threatening to spread throughout the region. The characters, if I'm not mistaken, are mostly real. The most memorable, in my opinion, are the following. Jacobo Arbenz, the president of Guatemala who followed Mr. Arevalo, he was so good that he wanted to change that terrible situation, that almost feudal situation in which the indigenous people who were the majority of the country lived. He was a left-wing man who wanted to transform Guatemala into a modern capitalist country. Well, to be honest, I didn't understand that very well, um, including an agrarian reform and the determination to make United Fruit pay taxes, something which was considered a crime by the United States. He was so innocent and he lacked reflexes, and he also committed the terrible mistake of believing that the USA was going to spot him. Marta Borrero Parra, or Miss Guatemala, a very active woman, really intelligent, and she didn't hesitate at getting what she wanted. She became the mistress of Carlos Castillo Armas. Hers is a fascinating history, tragic at times. Carlos Castillo Armas, who rebelled against the government of Arbenz in Honduras, he became the president, or let's say the dictator of Guatemala. As a president, he undid everything that had been achieved until then, and he started to hunt for real or suspected communists. John Emile Perifoy, the American ambassador who was in charge of destroying Jacobo Arbenz' government and Jacobo Arbenz himself. Rather than an ambassador, he acted as if it was the viceroy of the country. And I want to mention Johnny Aves Garcia, a Dominican, who was an assassin sent by General Trujillo, the Dominican dictator, who arrived in Guatemala with the order to murder Castillo Armas. Some topics that come to my mind are the following. The power of the United States as opposed to peripheral countries, journalism as a profession that at many times lacked professionalism, which was manipulated by governments and it manipulated the public as well. United Fruit as a company, an organization which was capable of destroying a democratic government. the endemic nature of violence in Latin American countries. And the few times that there is some democracy, this is so fragile, it is turned into dictatorship again. Once more, in this novel, I can notice that description of how dirty, smelly, and almost brute Indian and black people are. I don't know to what extent Mario Vargas Llosa adores in portraying that. I don't want to give you spoilers, but the scene of the Tonton Macut, the assassins sent by Papa Doc, the Haitian dictator, I even had a nightmare with that. Okay, so the horrible way in which they killed has made me cringe. I understand that this is a novel, not a history book, so there are some people who might highlight as a kind of criticism the failure of this book at portraying exact history. But as I'm saying, this is literature. And Vargas Llosa himself states that in this book. I need to stress that he did his research. Maybe that certainty with which he said the following is one of the most polemic or controversial aspects of this novel. That because of that American interference on Guatemala, democracy in Latin American countries ceased to exist and was postponed for many decades, which meant the death of thousands of people in between. That because of that intervention, the 26th of July movement of Cuban leader Fidel Castro became radical and embraced communism. So if that interference had not occurred, perhaps Cuba wouldn't have become a communist country and it wouldn't have had a domino effect on the rest of Latin America. For ignorance on this matter as me, this book has seduced me. Perhaps I am very easy to be seduced. This has opened the door of my interest in Central America, a region which is so rich in history but sometimes or many times unfairly overlooked, misunderstood, and at many times ignored. So I really recommend reading the last book of Mr. Vargas Llosa. You will not regret that and you will end up wanting more and to try to understand those countries better. Bye bye.